an outlaw, don't know exactly why. He turned his TV up when the witnesses came by. And there never was a gentleman like Jory. There never was a gentleman like Jory, who never did tell a lie.
Earl Peach has been cycling through landscapes of folk music for decades. He has gone from the song tree to natural elements, from the Ship of Fools to the Flying Ship, and then over to Sudanda. He has conducted choirs of all shapes and sizes and created music for theater, video, and film. He's just received the Arts Award from the Mayor for Community Engaged Arts. And he's here with me today to speak about what moves him and a little bit of politics and spice. I'd like to welcome Earl Peach back to the Carnegie.
Hi.
Thank you. What I admire about you, Earl, is that you live by your principles and you sing by your principles. Let's talk a bit about how music has led you through at helping people come together, and what a choir does for you.
Well, I think it was really all kind of accidental, in the sense that it's about the only thing that I could do that would make myself useful, since I'm insubordinate in most hierarchical situations, and I'm really shitty with office skills. So I found something that I could actually do, and combined with the need to always have attention focused on me, then rather than just being like a preening twit, I was able to be of general help to people, and that's a good thing. I think many teachers have the same quality. You have to be able to get people's attention engaged, and then in some way all of their energy gets focused through you back out to them. So you're really like a little lens.
Right, so you're focusing the purpose of others into a note and a song.
Exactly.
Now, health-wise, that does a lot for people.
Yes. Now, choirs, I think, are quite unusual. And the only other example I can think of is of dance troupes, where people engage in a coordinated action to express an emotion. And what it does is it has the effect of amplifying that emotion so that each of them feels it more. And it doesn't always happen, but when it does, it can be absolutely stunning. So that, in combination with the fact that, and this is completely unique to choirs, that harmony, sung harmony, has, I think, a beneficial effect on the human body. So the people in a room singing harmony with one another, if it's a true harmony, are actually being healed, physically healed, by the sound they're creating. It makes it a really powerful medicine.
It is. So now you've taken this knowledge that music has this effect, bringing emotion. How have you strategically placed it into activism? For instance, you're defending salmon and the salmon caravan.
Yes.
Tell us how you've bridged your philosophy in music and brought it into defending salmon.
Well, again, that was kind of an accident. I was working at Carnegie, and my boss was Danelle DeVio, who is now Danelle Greenwell Baker. And she went to Seattle in 1999 and saw the quote-unquote battle in Seattle. Part of that was the first appearance of the Seattle Labor Chorus, which impressed her greatly. And she came back and convinced the Vancouver District Labor Council to put up $2,000 to start a choir like that here. That was the Solidarity Notes.
That's still singing at Britannia?
Still singing 17 years later. That's on Sunday morning at 10:30 for anyone who would like to come down and sing political kick-ass music, right?
And it can be potent.
Indeed.
And music brings change, and that's what I wanted to talk. So you've got salmon. I'm really curious about salmon because it's on our mind after we've been hearing more and more about salmon farms and the threat that they pose to the wild spawning salmon, and how connected of a keystone species it is to everything.
Yes.
So it's a no-brainer to defend the salmon.
Right. So we were invited to participate in the Wild Salmon Caravan, which is I think this is its third year. It's being organized by a great woman named Dawn Morrison, but with the assistance and cooperation of various other groups like the Still Moon Art Society, and some coordination with Britannia. a number of other groups. But the idea was to take a group of people out to First Nations communities, have them hosted by First Nations along the route of the migration of salmon. And so that would include, in this case, it was Chilliwack, Merritt, Chase, and Kamloops, not in that order.
Okay.
And I had to come back on Wednesday from Kamloops to get the Arts Award. But the choir, the other members of the choir, proceeded up to Chase, and I saw one of the members of the choir last night, and he was actually crying because there had been a dawn ceremony beside the river in Chase, and the First Nations people there were very emotional. They've seen the river levels going down. They've seen the animals that they depended on disappearing. They've seen the salmon stocks dwindling. And in certain cases in Chilliwack, they hadn't been allowed to fish for coho in that river for 30 years. And the water, which they remember as children being clear, is now muddy with the effluent from local farms. And in Merritt, there are biosolids going into the water that have killed the salmon stocks. All along the way, it was just really clear to us that in spite of the wondrous generosity of these people, and they were really happy to have us there because they saw that we were supporting the struggle that they're going through, and they really feel isolated, as though people don't really understand what's going on. I have to say, we came back from that really radically transformed. I think if anyone can take that journey, it's important, because we hear about things, you understand issues from the outside, but listening to people talk about the circumstances that produce their own lives, some of the awful things that they went through and the choices they had to make to get to where they are, and how that relates to the disappearance of resources.
It makes me emotional just listening.
Yes.
And that makes me realize that singing would step right in with the emotion.
Yes. And everywhere we went, they sing. They have a body of songs. Some of them are individual to that community. Some of them are ones that are known at every stop. And there wouldn't be a single ceremony that happened from us arriving. They would sing before dinner. They would sing before we went on the procession. They would sing at the end. During the procession, they would probably 9 or 10 times a day. They would be drumming and singing.
So you must have learned some new words and some new songs.
I'm not a great learner, but I did write a couple of words down.
Good.
And I intend to learn more. But there are songs that I recognize now that I could probably sing along with.
That's good, because I believe that's part of honoring the people.
I completely agree.
As part language, and language, as we know, can be manipulated and brought to bring good or bad.
Yes.
So I see that you're going to revive an old favorite, the Threepenny Opera.
No, actually, the Threepenny Opera was in November last year.
But you were involved
I
in
was the musical director.
Right.
And so I spent a summer going through a German score that was about that big, and blowing it up and converting it to a score that could be read for 5 instruments. And so we had this run of it that we did 10 shows. It was directed by Jay Hamburger.
Jay Hamburger?
Yeah.
I know him well.
And it was a damn fine show, I dare say. And one of the people acting in it was Ariel Martz Oberlander, who was the person I nominated as the emerging artist for the Mayor's Arts Awards, because she's also been involved in political work and arts of various kinds.
So, Earle, you've been fanning people's fires. You've been bringing out the song. You've been walking the walk and singing. Now, you've also been awarded. How does it feel to be recognized by the Mayor's Arts Award? Does it?
Well, as I mentioned at the ceremony, it was completely arbitrary. I mean, it's very nice that somebody nominated me, but I was standing there in Kamloops before we left, and there was this fantastic procession of 200 school kids, right, that went up and down the main streets of Kamloops coming back. So there was Carmen from the Still Moon Arts Society, and actually the volunteer for Still Moon, Henry Lau, got the Volunteer of the Year award, and what an amazing guy he is. But there was, and then Ross Barrett with the
Carnival
Carnival Band.
Band.
Why the hell doesn't that guy get an award?
That's a good idea.
Well,
Because music really does heal, and it does bring community together. And you deserve the Community Engaged Arts Award, and I am happy to know that we can all find a choir in our community.
yes.
And you can recommend the Solidarity Notes, or maybe another.
Well, okay, the other, I have 4 choirs, right? So there's the Highs and Lows, which is a mental health choir.
Yes.
Which meets on Tuesdays at noon at the Unitarian Church, and which used to be supported by Vancouver Coastal Health, and that funding dried up, as it did for Galerie Gachet and the West Coast Mental Health Network and the Vancouver Art Studios, and anything that wasn't a hospital or a clinic, basically goodbye. So they're all out there. Well, some of them are just like sunk, but so we're out there as now a society looking for funding, and this is talking of music being healing. It costs $600 a day to keep somebody in the psych ward at UBC. There's 600 clients to the Vancouver Art Studio, and they were just going to chop the funding. And I bet that like 100 of the people at least would be in the psych ward if they weren't able to create art. Like, what the hell is that,
That's another interview.
Yeah.
That's
Anyway.
a very good point.
Yeah.
Healthcare and creativity
Yes.
coming together. Earl Peach, man of many choirs, almost the David Suzuki of music, bringing us, just kidding, bringing us
I don't take
an
as many
update.
planes.
That's right. He rides his bike everywhere. And I'm so happy to have had another conversation. Thank you for paying attention to Earl Peach on Access Community TV.
Thanks, Molly.
Thank you.